Yes, I hope that you are finding yourself right in these stories and the things that we get to say. And while Joweria was actually reminding me about the stress factor, which she is going to actually speak or talk about, the issue of the rising divorce rates, I think, is also putting us at a very risky place when it comes to parentification. And because so much stress is coming onto the partners, have you seen a mother who abandons the roles of her home because she feels the father is not doing the right things? So your one parent is emotionally unavailable, and the other one also decides to just throw their hands up. Instead of stepping up and saying, you know what,
I can do better.
I can do better. I can actually take on the roles. I know it's not easy, but I can take on and shield my home. They also tend to withdraw because of either stress or you know, the pressures of the world and everything else, or even just being too busy and abandoning the duties of running a home to their child in a way. And it's happening a lot these days. Actually, nearly every school that I have gone to, that is something that is coming up. You find that they're leaving borders, the roles to even take their children to school, to take back their children to school. And so the child has to make sure they're even leaving the roles of the child to save school fees on their own. They're like, you know what, you will come, work, save school fees. That is okay. You're teaching them how to save. You're teaching them how to be economical. But when it comes to where they have to take the real care of themselves, minus you being there to oversee all the activities, then it becomes so dangerous.
Right.
Yeah. So you were talking about stress. I wanted to hear that angle.
You see, the other time when they did a research on mental health in Uganda and then said, was it 1 in 5 Ugandans has, I think their stats were kind of like that, has a mental health issue. It is actually very true. You know, when you have mental health issues, it's not when you actually run mad. There are very many stages before you start running mad where you really need mental health attention. So stress is also a mental health issue. So
especially in the prolonged one.
Yes. You are stressed, you are depressed, you feel broken. So they are tired. You know, not being just physically tired, emotionally tired. So parents get tired. I would say, like she talked about, the socioeconomic status makes parents get tired, like really tired, to only be able to go and fend for you, the kids. But the rest of the things, you, the kids, will figure it out. So they don't take on the other road simply because they feel they need to have some bit of resting, maybe. And then
even as a child, you will try to understand. So that's where we are
failing.
You will try to understand because when you see your parent leaving at 5 and coming back at 11 in the night, like literally you can't tell them anything, because then you're thinking they're sacrificing on my behalf. Why should I complain? So it will be the young ones, the last borns and maybe the middle children who complain from time to time, but you as an adult should even tell you leave her alone. Come to me when you have a problem. We will figure it out. She needs to rest. So they become so protective of the mother, and the mother becomes appreciative, and in the long run passes over the duties.
And it keeps draining both of them while they're not aware. So you find that a parent will come home, they don't have time for kids, they're really stressed. So that is a mental health thing. So with the causes of parentification,
because it's also bringing stress to this child.
Yes. And they're just being a child.
And some of them have even told me, you know, I'm going to campus, I'm done with senior 6, but I've been the one taking care of the family. So now I'm scared. I am leaving for campus.
Very many firstborn children have left studies for their younger siblings to go on. With studies. Some have sacrificed all their life, and though they are working to bettering the lives of their siblings.
I want us to look at the effects, because anyone would say, but we have grown up in that kind of life, but it has made us better people. I want us to look at the side effects that this has, because then that is where people are able to find themselves and say, I didn't know I was doing this because of what I went through. I thought it was a normal thing to go through.
Okay, one of the effects is just to add on to hers. While stress is one of the triggers or the causes, it's also actually another effect. Now this time it's a mental health issue. where it goes beyond just being stressed and
you're
distressed.
carrying a load that is not yours.
So you see, research has it that there's a part of the brain that shrinks, and that part is called the hippocampus. It shrinks because of stress. I just found it interesting. Just because when someone is stressed for too long, and they haven't found any help, it will further shrink and shrink and shrink. So it causes many other factors or health issues, like your memory. You know how people don't have, there's that disease that comes, is it called?
Dementia
or Alzheimer's. It starts with that. So you start to lose yourself.
Focus,
you lose yourself.
Memory.
You're stressed, and there's that, is it distress that comes out of stress that's beyond stress? So after someone has been stressed for too long a time and there's not been help, and yet there's so much still piling onto them, they get that illness. And so the memory gets affected, and then the emotions. Have you seen people who are triggered by any small thing you say or you do?
Yeah.
People are
They're
angry.
agitated.
They see someone laughing.
They're
They're
at
like,
the brink of,
Right.
losing it.
you're laughing, and they're like, what is funny?
So
what's
what's
funny to laugh about? They see somebody's laughing, they don't see a reason to laugh. They're always angry for whatever reason.
No,
That
just look
person-
at this. While other people are playing their typical children,
Right.
for you, it's demanded of you to actually mature up.
Yes,
So
so
that means you must give up a lot.
you
in order
missed
to
out on
sustain
your
role.
childhood.
No, even when you try
So they're
to
robbing
do that.
their
Yeah, you
children.
feel
Because
like-
every time you're thinking, I remember the times that I would, just like we said, parents don't do this knowingly, that
Yeah.
this is what I'm doing. But while you are there, these things of bladder or the
Kebe.
quick ball or something
Kwepena,
like that,
eh.
yes. And then you're thinking, as others are running, they're still having all the playtime. For you work on a timetable. Because then water has to be taken care of. Then we've not yet bought this, we've not yet, and you don't need any reminders from anyone. You actually have them
it's
registered in your brain.
Psychology.
And like you remind yourself.
Yeah.
While others, you're not actually watching the game. You're not even interested in the game. Yes, you would want to play, you're looking at them, but you're thinking, if I don't do this, no one is going to do it. So you run away by yourself, and I think that is more stressful, because it's better for a parent to come for you with a kiboko and it's like, get out of here, you're supposed to do this. But where you have a bell in your brain to remind you of something that you have not done, yes, partly it could breed responsibility, but partly you miss on the childhood and the fun that it comes with it. That is where people even tend to fixate, that they go back into places, the things that they missed, they want to actually go back.
I see things here. Uganda has a Kwepena festival. You find adults. Yes, it's fun. You find adults doing Kwepena.
They're catching up on lost time.
Yeah, people are catching up.
I keep telling my friends, your child is a kid once. Now, when you rob all the childhoodness from them
The enjoyment.
and you let them mature, they're going to be mature for the biggest part of their life.
Right.
Yeah, where they're going to be having decisions
Yes,
to make and
you'll have robbed
growing
them
up to
of
do.
the most important thing of every child.
So like they
Let
say,
the kid spoil a thing.
Like
Let
they say-
the kid be a kid.
every mistake catches up with you eventually. And I've realized it's true.
It does.
Have you seen adults who act like children? Because at some point they missed out on that and they want to replay it or have the opportunity to have it because now they can have the say or they
From a
have the
response.
yes. And it's a wrong thing. You see them misplaced in a group of people and they're acting childish because they missed out on that. Sometimes you blame them and you're like, yeah, perhaps there's that mistake they're replaying.
But I think there's a group of people that maybe went through the parentification, and when they grew up, they swore their lives are going to be totally different. From how they grew
Right.
up.
Yeah.
And I think I was one of them, because
Exactly.
right into to who I marry, that was a decision I made, even when God surprised me later. But in the beginning, I said, I am never getting married to a pastor or, anyone that is in serving God, because I'd seen how our home was. Literally every Sunday I would not eat food because there were so many people. My mother is a
You had to
pastor,
give away your
and there's
plate.
so many people. I have to give it,
Sacrifice.
either there's a sibling who has not eaten or there's
Yeah.
a guest that has not eaten. And, so I was like, you know what, I am never never getting married to a pastor. So I think there's some of those decisions, and I said no one will ever come in the place of my children when it comes to taking care of their needs and stuff like that, which has really, you know, works out well. But again, I think there are those that have not been able to make the proper decisions,
yes.
because then they're running out from their own shadows. So they keep running, not creating better decisions to become a totally different person.
They
So
can't believe that was taken away from them.
I know. So they end up making up for that lost time by being rebellious. You know, like a goat that has been released, it was on leash, or a dog that has been on leash, and then all of a sudden now you have been released into a world of maturity. And no one is governing you. No one demands
So you let
anything
go.
of you. So you let go and do,
And do you.
Me as an adult now,
The
there are
wrong way.
things that I grew up doing that when I find it not done in my house, it doesn't rub me well. Like, I can't come back to a dirty house. My mom would come back on the floor, you mop it again. You will see her down from the hill, you are up.
and you start checking things whether they're in order.
Perfect.
Exactly what I said, that you can pick the good
God
out
saved
of
me
this.
from that.
Yeah, you can pick the good out of this and choose to not go the way your parents went. Is it all bad? Well, not.
Of course,
But
it's not
yes,
all
but
bad.
there's a
And some
bad-
of us didn't even know that is a term that is used, parentification.
Yeah.
We didn't know that
Yes.
it existed.
But you know, when everything starts getting too much and overwhelming, then people sit back and try to analyze. I wanted to tell you about the difference between child-led families and parentification. You see, if we think parentification is not that bad, picture it in a home that is led by a child. The difference is here the parents are physically available but emotionally away.
Unavailable, yeah.
And then in a child-led family, no parents.
No physical availability, no emotional.
And actually the children
By
are
default.
emotionally available for each other because they know now they don't have any adult. It's them and it's them. Just like the UN and all those other agencies care for child-led families, especially in Africa, while they also have child-led families in their countries, it is very important for us to acknowledge that we actually, parentification has a lot of bad, that it's damaging the children, just like child-led families are. Because if a child in a parentified home has to be on the street in the night selling a menvu, and then there is a child-led family where a first child has to also be in the same situation like the other, they'll meet on the street, they're actually the same. The difference is where they stay and who they stay with.
Yeah,
The roles are the same because the availability of parents is they're there but they're absent.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's actually the same. Just like we mind.
Or they're using the children as the tools.
Yeah, just like we mind when we see child-led families. You know, on a village, when you know there is a child-led family, the people on the village
Everyone
will make
has
sure they
pity and
maybe have
mercy
food,
and,
maybe they go to school, the teachers, the community leaders. Now, this is the same thing that is needed to be done for parentified children. Sometimes it is worse. It is worse for children. Some children end up being battered for the wrongs of their parents when you find those violent homes.
I've seen, for some homes, it seems like a normal thing, and we're highlighting this so that you stop
Sit
thinking
down.
it's normal,
Yes.
sit down and reflect, evaluate and find better ways of actually parenting as a parent. But again, there are some homes where it is totally extreme.
Yeah.
Like you can really tell that someone took their roles and just gave them to a child. Now that one is really, really bad. Where the child has to fend for this family,
This is a
where the
destructive.
where the child has to think for this family, where the child has to, and most of all they do it on a gunpoint.
Yes.
Like you have to do it or you have to do it.
I've seen parents who pick up a phone and call their children and demand for things.
Are the
Whether-
adult children?
Yeah.
So as children
Whether or
grow
not they're
up,
able
their
to,
parents look at
they
them
do that.
as
They ask
their,
for that.
the ones who have to support them in all that. Well,
Don't children have to support their...
No, they
They
have
have
to.
No,
to.
children that are 30, I mean...
No, they have
they
to,
are
but then you have to
working,
also
they are-
put into consideration the fact that am I able to?
Exactly.
Status
Oh, you're
financially
saying the people that
am I
demand
standing?
without being sensitive.
Yes. So you're then
Okay,
pushed
about
to
your status and
push
where you are.
beyond your bounds to go and look for money, east, west, central, in any way possible, so you can make your parent happy.
I
Do you-
get
do
it.
you get the
And then
point?
just look at this scenario where a parent is doing that, but again, you are taking care of his children, your siblings,
Yes.
taking care of your siblings, and you are you're still demanded to take care of those parents. I know so many people where it is normal, depending
Yes.
on your status and what you
Yes.
can actually afford. But I will tell you for a fact, there are people that have really been stressed, that have met, and they're like, now my father is calling me, and my sibling is calling me for
they need
tuition.
school fees.
Who do I pick?
Yes.
And I'm not even in position
also,
to feed myself.
you have your family.
What do I do?
What
So
do I
they're
do?
really, really stressed.
Yes.
They've been praying for a job. They've been,
I have a friend who
trying
wanted to commit suicide. He comes from an established family. The parents actually doing okay, they can support their children. But the moment he started working, the mother sat him down and told him, okay, now you are going to be paying tuition for your 3 siblings. Half, 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 we shall do the rest. So he happens to lose the job. He lost the job and he spent 2 months without going home while he was, because the job used to even give him accommodation. He asked so that he can stay for 2 months so that he can figure out how to go back home and tell the mother
that he had lost the job.
I've lost it all.
So you don't.
So he eventually went home. When he got home, he didn't say at first, but then later he said, now everything turned. Even if he wanted to wash, just a mere touching soap and he's seen.
At home.
It would be wrong. He would not eat. He would go there in the night to sleep. So he wrote an email to one of our friends. He wanted to commit suicide.
So
No,
So
our
you see
home is
how
supposed
we
to be a
demand-
safe place.
Yeah, you're supposed to feel
whether you are
like you're
50
okay
years
to come
old
home.
or 40 years old or 30 years, when the world beats you out there,
Yes.
the home is expected to be a fallback position from anyone. That is wrong.
You see, so the environments that our parents have put up, that the environments that have parentified us,
Yeah. You
some
think
are
you're
doing
trying to
a
push?
lot of damage. You are teaching me to be responsible, but
Yeah.
you're actually draining me emotionally and physically.
Yes, I think another effect is trust issues. For the point where I'd mentioned about relationships failing because of this parentified children or child. Well, they go into a relationship most of the times for the wrong reasons. Because they want to fend or take care of this family, cater to their siblings and their parents. So when they get into this relationship, they're now having issues with this spouse or the other better half they get. So because of the trust issues they've had with their parents or with their siblings, they carry on to
They
that
don't
baggage.
trust anyone.
Yes,
They think anyone is going to give
Yeah.
them, more loads.
more loads and responsibility. They don't loosen up or be free to share with this spouse. So which now makes them have failed relationships.
How do we, because we can talk about all that, so many effects.
Yes.
I think these same people grow up with a huge amount of responsibility, even when they show up in the world. And
Yes.
they tend to be, people who pioneer things, people who break even, people who start companies, people who get jobs and stuff like that.
They
end up,
they thrive.
they
in
thrive
life.
in boss positions and stuff like that. But while they see, the world sees them as glamorous, inside of them there is a plea and there's a cry and they
emotional
are empty.
trauma.
And
Yeah.
sometimes if God does not help them to actually meet, I think for some people God has helped us meet people that factor in the healing bit of what has happened around us. And I know so many people have received that God helps you, you get a partner who understands you, or you get a partner who is willing to go on the growth journey with you, who is willing to tell you that this is not right even when it was right, who is not just willing to give you more burdens. And yet there are some partners who will come and say, you're carrying that basket, let me load all my weight on you again. So there are those that have really been taken so much for granted, and they have carried the load without even thinking it's heavy, but it's breaking them. And it's breaking them by they explode. Just like you say, they're agitated, they're irritable. Anything
Suicidal.
small, even at work, someone says something small, it
They're
sparks off.
triggered,
What do you
yeah.
like? But I just mentioned something.
Yeah, they're triggered
You know,
because
it
of
was
the
a sweeping
underlying
step. Because of
stress.
the
They actually
underlying
become
stress.
toxic to other people.
Exactly, that's true. They become very
They're very
narcissistic.
emotionally immature.
They
because
load expectations that cannot be met.
Because they keep telling you, as I was a child, I did this, you can do it. Like, You are supposed to build...
Just a word out there to our viewers is because the Bible says in Psalms 127 verse 3 that children are a gift from the Lord and the fruit of the womb is his reward to us. So when you have this child, really, we ought as parents to carry on this responsibility and nurture these children the right way. We have to strike a balance and know how best to take care of our children without them feeling
the age-appropriate
yes,
responsibilities.
Right. Without them feeling unseen. So I think we can choose to walk away from that, from what our parents displayed or showed to us, and balance. It's doable because I know parents who are thriving at it. They sit their children down. I have this friend of mine. She really is my mentor, but she has shown me that she is a very busy lady. She's a judge. And I've seen how she has time with her children, child by child. She chooses to have a drive with one child, just goes and sits down with them. Then they tell them, okay, she tells them, display your emotions. What do you feel? What do you think about school? What do you like your school? How is your love life? Do you have are you in a relationship? Are you things like that? Even when they are Christian, then she's like, okay, now this is not the time to have a relationship. But she lets them have the microphone. She has a friendship with them.
Instead of saying, never do this.
Yes.
Don't do this.
Right.
Don't remind
with no
them
reason.
of all the don'ts.
So I keep telling her, I looked up to you, and I'm going to do most of the things you're doing for your children, because I've seen how they are so humble, so God-fearing, and they are doing great.
What I'm picking from what you're saying is actually parents also, they can have mentors.
They can.
That mentor them into parenting.
Right.
And that takes a lot of acceptance. Just like I usually say, that I could be knowing so many things in the world, but bring me in the parenting game, I am open to learn from anyone that I see has done a good job. No more. And I think you just need to have that willingness.
No one is an island.
No one is an island.
We all learn
because
from
there is
each
no
other.
script to parenting.
No.
So seek knowledge as much as you can.
And try out, see what works for you.
Yeah,
and what doesn't work for you,
you
don't
leave
take it in. Yeah.
And what works in this family definitely
not
can't
work
in
at
yours.
That's
But you
true.
sieve out and, gauge and see this will work for me and will work for my children. You take it on and choose to walk away from what your parents raised you that didn't really make sense, or you feel like it should have been different, and appreciate our parents. They've done great raising us. And so we appreciate them for the good, but for what they should have done better, that's what we're going to pick out, to choose away from, to choose to walk away from and do better. Yeah, according to...
I was talking to a friend of mine and I told her, parenting is a job we do not choose, is a job you can never retire from, is a job you can never abscond, is a job you have to live up to every day. You wake up to open your mind to unlearn things so you can be better. We tend to learn from our parents, but truth be told, there are some things that were wrong. And actually, even us as parents now, there are some things we are passing on that are wrong. And our children
because
will be,
we don't know.
and our children will be like,
what we
oh,
know.
Mama,
You only
this
give what
was
you know.
wrong. But they're willing to do better. The willingness to learn and be a better parent is the drive that every parent has to have.
And in this generation, back then we didn't know that our parents may be backing at you was even something that was bad. I think we are formulating traumatizing situations ourselves these days, but back then we didn't know it was. But these days a child will tell you, but backing is not good, or shouting at someone is not good. Talk to me, talk to me nicely. So I'm thinking the openness to learn should be even from anyone. You can even learn from your own child about their own needs and how they want them met.
Let me give you a scenario. You can never call my son Gwe. He'll tell you, Mommy, my name is this, you don't call me Gwe. In a very polite way.
And then another person will look at that and say, you're bringing up that
because
child
we
in a
have
wrong
refused
way.
him
But they're
from...
different.
If you think it's not right for a child to call an older person Gwe, why do you think it is right for you to call a child Gwe?
They learn by example. They're sponges.
Yeah.
They give what you give.
So be the best example that you can. You see, even responsibility. Even if you don't parentify a child, if you're a responsible parent, your children will pick after you.
And if you're irresponsible,
they'll still pick after you. You look at how children dress up currently, they pick from their parents. You see, the other time I told you,
they also put on skimpy.
The other time I told you, I was listening to some doctor who was speaking about parenthood at my child's school. She said, the first 5 people in your child's life shape how they grow up and how they see things. So The first two actually is the mother and father. So any of those can choose to be absent. Then there is a nanny and the other person around. So whatever that person does or who they are will shape your child. You want your child to be responsible, make sure the first 5 people are.
Surround them with good people.
Yes. Make sure you give your children age-appropriate stuff. We can cut this whole thing of parentification and all that. Children have roles, and you know there are roles that are age-appropriate.
Yeah.
In my home,
Learn to wash your plates.
in my home, a 3-year-old learns to wash their plates. You know, when they're done eating, they clean where they've had their food from. Those are simple roles.
Make your bed.
Exactly. You see, some parents wait for asoka kulemu weze miaka nga 10 then we start.
But that will be too late.
But you've lost a lot. In the other 10 years, what has this child been doing?
That's what they've
A
crammed.
child's character develops at 7. So what are you doing by the time they make 7? Are you teaching them to be responsible from you, or you are forcefully making them responsible?
And they're rebelling all the time.
Yes.
And you're getting
they are doing
agitated all the
something
time.
they don't want to do, but they're doing it because you are saying so.
So the back and forth.
Anytime they get a minute when you are not around, have you seen parents who be like, "Kale bwabere wakebyo tabikola."
They go back to default setting.
When you are away, you are the policeman. You will police them around. When you are around, but when you are away,
They go back to default
I think
they'll do
setting.
things you
I
even
think to get away
fear
from
to think of.
parentification,
Hey,
can,
this conversation is not going to get finished. It's not going to get finished.
Yeah.
Let's just make that point. We get
yeah,
out
to
of
get away
here,
from
then.
parentification, we can actually replace it with steward parenting. So stewardship parenting is one where we're accepting the role and embracing the role as a parent to take on a full
Knowing,
responsibility.
this is my responsibility.
Yeah. Well, with parentification, you're giving out the role to the child. Now, stewardship parenting is you acknowledging that I'm a parent.
And you
so-
acknowledge every day,
Right.
because the time will come you'll forget.
So, and you're
So when
taking
you
on this
forget, you go
role
back.
to help the child to thrive in life. From birth, remember this is from birth until your death. Until they
'Cause
put you,
parenthood does
yes,
not stop,
doesn't
yeah.
stop until your death. So they can thrive in life and then be able to say, my parent did their best. With money or without money, we can still do stewardship parenting.
That's how we thank God
Yes.
for some of us that have been able to actually be parented by people that, or by mothers that really accept that this is my role. That even now, she can call to ask, Oride, have you eaten? And you're like,
Bulungi.
but I'm supposed to be asking you that.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be asking me that.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful, because you live in a world where, you know, I can depend on someone. I actually have a fallback position. I am understood. I am needed, and I am celebrated. What more? Celebrate your
Yes.
children, and in turn, they are going to pass on the same things and
Right.
the same things and the same things. We love you. We have to cut it short. We have to run away. I know that we can't exhaustively handle this, but I know that there have been so many learning points here and there that you can be able to pick. So I hope you were able to actually find yourself in this conversation, and just think about, I know some of you actually abandoned us, and you just went into your own lives and looked at how your life, and you know, you were parentified, or your sister or your brother, and how you're the middle child and the last child, and how you up and go anytime things are hard, and then you're thinking, so I didn't know that this is where it places me. But again, we say that there's hope for anyone. If you choose to live a different life, or if you choose to live a better life, or if you choose to, you know, take on the responsibility and then be able to repair the trauma that was caused, find help, get mentors, these things are possible. And if you're a parent, create a safe space for your children to grow. It doesn't matter whether they're 50 or 60, you're still their parent, and they need that fallback position. They need that stability, and you can provide it. So thank you for joining us. Merapi, thank you on the clothes, and then the team that created this beautiful, beautiful show, those in the control room and on the creative desk, thank you so much. And from us is adios.